Let's go, Brandon. We've been reading your comments. You want us to talk about Let's Go, Brandon, the phenomenon that began, of course, when during a NASCAR race, the crowd was shouting, fuck Joe Biden, and the reporter off her own back. Because if you're a fan of football in England, there's a lot of expletives. The referee's going to get called a wanker. There's going to be a lot of aggressive, sweary, curse-laden chanting. Seldom do the commentators try to pretend that they're saying let's go Brandon or let's go anyone. Let's have a look at what happened, see if we can understand this phenomenon. And let's face it, it's yet another example of media bias and deception, albeit one that has been embraced and turned into a powerful meme and now a hip-hop #1.
Thank you to all of our partners. Oh my God, it's just such an unbelievable moment.
Brandon, you also told me, as you can hear the chants from the crowd, let's go, Brandon. Brandon, you told me you were going to kind of hang back those first two stages and just watch and learn.
I never heard the words fuck Joe Biden more clearly than as it's being chanted by that NASCAR crowd right there. I wonder if it's like that she feels just a bit embarrassed about it. Oh my God, his name's Brandon. This is useful. I feel like she got some balls to try and make that work. And I also feel slightly sorry for Brandon, whose moment of triumph in NASCAR has been graffitied over by people's dissatisfaction with Joe Biden.
What did you learn that helped you there in those closing laps?
Oh my God, it was...
Some people may express their disdain by shouting the words, let's go Brandon, just to get that rage off their chests. Other people will express their disapproval through that more proper funnel, the approval rating system. Here is that information for you. 8 months after Joe Biden's inauguration, his job approval rating has fallen 6 percentage points to 43%, the lowest of his presidency. Except for Donald Trump, every US president since Harry Truman has enjoyed a honeymoon period characterized by above average approval ratings upon taking office. Biden's recent slides in approval put him in the company of Trump and Bill Clinton, whose ratings were at or below Biden's current 43% at some point in the first 8 months of their presidency. But in a sense, all of these statistics, all of these presidents, all of this information operates within such a narrowly contained set of opinions and options that they're all ultimately irrelevant. No one is going to give you the power to run your own life, run your own community, opt out of a culture of commodification, give you the opportunity to live a life where you're connected to your own nature, inner and outer, explore who you really are, learn to liberate yourself from your conditioning, de-school yourself from the inundation of false information that you've faced your whole life. So in a way, even though those polls and those numbers are interesting, they're just details of our dissatisfaction with the system that can never really serve us.
Learning how each line didn't stay to one, and everything shifted top to bottom so much that it was kind of like, okay, let's just stay patient where we're at and hope for the best.
It doesn't even for the briefest of moments ever sound like people saying, let's go Brandon. I've seen all over our comments the let's go Brandon chant. It has been embraced by people quite clearly and I think justifiably, and it's a wonderful example of the way that culture can emerge quite organically and naturally, and it always has a little bit more juice and a little bit more fun about it. What does it tell us about contemporary politics? It tells us that there is not enough space for dissent, that the mainstream media favours a particular type of news reporting. You know me, my views lay way outside of the bipartisan red versus blue political spectrum. I believe that the kind of changes that we need to make far exceed anything that's been offered by any recent politician or any current political party, that we require systems that are based on community activity, community autonomy, individual freedom, the ability to control our own resources, a massive degree of ecological responsibility. But, you know, in a sense, what does it matter what I have to say? Because the whole thing can be summarized with the simple phrase, let's go, Brandon. Brandon, let's go. It's also amazing that the innocuous phrase, let's go Brandon, can now just be used to sort of code name fuck Joe Biden. I suppose this is what happens if there is repression, if media spaces don't represent your views, if people don't talk openly and honestly. As a person that was sort of cynical about the Biden administration from the first place, even though, as you know, I'm not a fan of Republican politicians broadly, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, even though I recognize why a lot of you find him amusing. There was stuff that he said that for me are like difficult to come back from. What I recognize that you like is the confrontational, tipping up the table, populist, not static corporate speak of the kind of politicians that we've been offered in recent years. And it seems to me that the tragedy is that nothing's been learned from the conditions that led to Donald Trump in the first place. People are saying, oh wow, we're obviously going to need to change the way that our politics operates. We're going to have a transparent, open, trustworthy media. We're going to have politicians that know how to talk to people on a normal level. We're going to have to be honest about inequality. We're going to have a real vision for the American people or the British people or whatever people it is that we represent. We're going to have to make decisions that curtail the interests of corporate giants and tech giants and pharmaceutical giants and start representing the interests of ordinary people. No, none of those lessons have been learned. The same relationships that have always been in place are in place. The revolving doors between Silicon Valley and Washington and Wall Street, the same structures continue to support themselves. And while that goes on, individuals will have no choice, no recourse, no access to democracy, because whoever you vote for, you're going to get some version of oppression, perhaps oppression with the kind of delightful spike in some people's eyes of a kind of irregular figure, an anachronistic and unusual figure like Donald Trump. But you're never going to get, it doesn't seem to me at least, coming through that system, a politician who's interested in representing ordinary people. But ordinary people will continue to have a voice. My hope is that ordinary people from across the political spectrum, from a variety of economic, cultural and racial backgrounds, will come to realize that we have much more in common with each other than we have to argue about, and align and unite against the ongoing systemic controls that we regularly confront but never get to do anything about democratically, because that option is never on the table. Never get to see our views represented in the media, because that is not on the table. The only option that we seem to have to confront these ongoing concretized voices that bombard us day and night with messaging that is not in alignment with who we really are is to return to that rallying cry, let's go Brandon. If you enjoyed this video and you have more things like this that you would like us to watch, you obviously could just tell us in the comments below, because we did this because you kept asking us to talk about it. So let me know what else you want to see us talk about. Give it a like, give it a thumbs up, share it around the place. And also, if you like this video, why don't you check this one out? If you want to have a little meditate, look at this saucy little guy. And if you want to subscribe here. Why don't you? In the meantime, stay free. Let's go Brandon.